Hello, everyone. We want to talk to you today about how to use Zoom and how to schedule different students using different meeting IDs. Now, as some of you may know, when you're using Zoom, you're automatically assigned with a personal meeting ID. Some people choose to use the personal meeting ID and share that personal meeting ID with all of their students. However, some teachers have encountered issues with that because sometimes students may try to make sure that they can use Zoom and they may test that personal meeting ID during a time that is not their scheduled session while another student is actually in class. And this can cause some conflict. Now, there are ways around that that will be discussed in a different video. However, in this video, we will discuss how to set recurring classes for different students. So as you see here as an example, we have our profile page. Once you enter into your Zoom account, you'll see your profile page. From there, simply click on Meetings. Here, we're able to schedule a meeting or a class session for our students. So let's click on Schedule a New Meeting. Here, you can name it any topic that you like for your individual student. Let's say one-on-one class lesson with, let's just say the name John, okay? So we know that this is a class session that would be for our student John. If you like to add his last name initial so that you can remember it, that's totally fine as well. It's up to you. So we have one-on-one ESL lesson, John M. as our student. The time of the class session will be at 10 o'clock on January the 11th. We can scroll down, make sure you have your time zone correct. You can generate a meeting ID automatically, or you can assign your personal meeting ID to John's classes. Today, we're going to talk about setting a meeting ID, allowing it to actually generate automatically for John. Now, this meeting will take place every week, every Saturday, for example. Here, you can change it to where it's going to be daily, weekly, monthly, or no fixed time. You want it to repeat every one day, or however you would like for it to do. In this case, let's just say that John will be taking classes every Saturday. So let's click weekly, repeat every 1 week. You can choose whichever days of the week that John will be taking classes, whether it's Thursday and Saturday, Friday and Saturday, or just Saturday. Last, you want to put the end date. So if John paid for 7 class sessions, which will be 7 occurrences. Let's put this back, it jumped out. Which will be 7 occurrences or 7 classes, then the end date, it automatically does it for you in this case. It would be, for example, February 22nd, 2020, and that'll be 7 classes. If it's something any different, just click on the calendar here, pick the date that will be his last date, and it'll change it to that number of classes. It makes it easier because you're able to go ahead and keep up with the number of classes that John will be taking, and you'll be able to easily look and see what his last class date will be. Here you have an option to require a meeting password. In this case, because we are setting a special meeting ID for just John, we're going to deselect that, okay? Just make it a little easier for your client. Now it shows you where you can use a video. So if you want the video to automatically come on for you as the host, you'll click on. If you prefer to have some prep time and would like for that camera not to show up on you, click off here, and the camera will not be on you until you manually turn the camera on. Same as for your participants. If you want the video to automatically show your participants, you can click on. If you prefer to give them some free time to get everything scheduled on their end and set, just leave it to off, okay? The audio is already set for both if they call in by a telephone or by a computer. You can leave that setting the same. Here you have different options for your meeting options. It's totally up to you. You can enable join before the host. You can mute participants upon entry. You can enable a waiting room, or you can record the meeting automatically on the local computer. Again, we are speaking of John having his own meeting ID. So we would not enable waiting room for him in this case unless you'd like to. And it's up to you if you like to go ahead and have your classes recorded as soon as you enter the class session. Or you can leave this off and you can manually record the class session on your own. Sometimes it's good to go ahead and have it where it's automatic recording. So that's just one less thing that you have to think about. Okay, so now let's just click save. Once we save it, as you can see here, it shows us that John's first class would be January the 11th, and he will have classes all the way through February the 29th. You can click here and it'll show all of the occurrences for the classes for John. It also shows that John's meeting ID is 453-321-959. There is no password required, just to make it a little easier. You can click copy the invitation here. And once you copy this and you send it to your client, they will be able to see all the dates that John will be having classes. Now, if there's a class that, you may not be having classes on February the 15th because it's a holiday, you can, of course, delete that and add more dates to this schedule. But all in all, John's meeting ID will always be this number, these numbers that are located here. This is his meeting number ID, okay? Every single time that he will have class, this is how he would enter. So you're just going to copy that, and you can kind of tweak some of the wording that you're going to send to your client if you like, or you can leave it as it is and then send it to your client. And then they will know exactly how to join the meeting. Now, again, that meeting was for John, right? So let's go back to meetings. And we basically, and you'll see all of the meeting dates right here, which is great because anytime right before it's time for your class, you just simply click on start and you'll be able to enter the class with John. Now, let's schedule another meeting. This time, let's give it 101 and let's do Sarah, okay? 101 ESL lesson for Sarah. Her class time, let's make it be 11 o'clock instead. It's 11 o'clock, right? This is also a recurring meeting. Again, make sure you check your time zone, okay? And she'll be meeting weekly. And she'll also meet on Saturdays as well. And let's say she'll also meet on Wednesdays. So it shows us that'll be a total of 13 classes. Again, you can make the change here. Her last day may be February the 29th because they bought more classes. And it automatically calculates the number of classes that she'll take between now and February the 29th, both on Wednesdays and on Saturdays, okay? Let's scroll down. Let's deselect require meeting password because that's just too much more information that our client needs to have. Again, you can choose if you want your camera on when you join the class or if you want your participants' camera on when they join the class. Right now, it's scheduled for off. We have the audio setting as both for the telephone and if they dial in by computer. You can click this for them to enable join before host, meaning your student cannot enter the class before you actually get into the class. You can mute participants upon entry. You can even enable a waiting room for them. And you can automatically record the meeting automatically onto your local computer if you like. Just click Save based on your desired settings. And here we are here. If I click here, we can see all of Sarah's classes, and she has a different meeting ID from John. So let's just take a look and do the same thing. You can copy the invitation. Here's all her classes for Wednesdays and for Saturdays. She'll always use this same meeting ID of 194-221-810. You just copy the invitation and paste it onto an email to send to a client or to the parent. And then whenever you log back into your account, you click on meetings. You'll see all of your meetings here. So I have my today's meeting with John, and this is his meeting ID at 10 o'clock. I just click start and I'll enter the classroom that way. Then next, my next meeting is with Sarah. I'll click start and I'll enter the meeting that way. I'll always come back to my meetings, and there's Sarah for Wednesday. Closer to the time, you'll see a start button here as well, okay? Again, for John, he has his own meeting ID, and as you can see, this belongs to John. This meeting ID belongs to John. This meeting ID belongs to John. This meeting ID belongs to Sarah. This meeting ID belongs to Sarah. This meeting ID belongs to Sarah. And it makes it so much easier to be able to keep up with your clients. So I hope that this have helped you to be able to schedule your reoccurring meetings or your classes with your students, where you can assign them different meeting IDs as an option. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.